Hi and welcome to TNT. Well, if traffic loads are any guide to whether Bangkok is back to normal again, well, let's say pre-pandemic, then certainly Bangkok is very, very busy again. I mean, it's very early morning here in the back blocks of Sukhumvit, and already the traffic's flowing, and this will be gridlock in another half an hour, I'm sure. Now, interestingly, yesterday catching a motorcycle taxi, which I still believe is a very efficient way, maybe not the safest, but very efficient way to get around Bangkok, I was on an electric motorbike, which was interesting because I'd never seen one before as far as motorcycle taxis are concerned. But it was interesting because it was, well, totally quiet, and I didn't really get much of a chance to discuss how far the motorbike would go on a charge and things like that. But it would certainly be a much quieter Bangkok if they were all using these electric scooters. Anyway, getting busy here, let's get on with the show. And here we are for the last time in our little makeshift studio, heading back to Phuket today, heading on with our transport theme. And let's just check this little guy here. I'm not sure if he's doing an audition for a Star Wars movie, whether he's actually doing some policing or just having a very good time. But anyway, we appreciate the person who was able to capture that. I'm not exactly sure where it was or when it was, but nice to have a bit of a laugh from time to time. Hope he was having a good time, or at least he was safe. Now, continuing with our transport theme, 540 drivers have had driving points deducted on the first day of the new system. This started yesterday, and 540 motorists and motorcyclists had driving license points deducted. So, of course, they're going to be using the point system as a way to try and tame Thailand's traffic a little bit. The most common violations were failure to display a valid annual road tax sticker. That's the sort of registration sticker that goes on the left-hand side of your windshield. Not displaying license plates, which would be a bit like waving a red rag at a bull, and speeding, of course. Spokesperson for the Royal Thai Police said that police had been ordered to enforce the system strictly to promote discipline among motorists and motorcyclists to reduce road accidents, loss of life and damage to property. So I have to mind my P's and Q's driving back today, perhaps not doing another live stream from the car. And certainly the police are going to be out and about rigidly enforcing this new points demerit system. With enthusiasm, I would have thought. Now, a bit more about this whole travel restrictions and coming back to Thailand. You wouldn't believe it, but even since yesterday, there has been another change. Surprise, surprise. Here we go from Thai PBS World, and travel restrictions eased for tourists visiting Thailand. Now, the big one was, of course, reducing the need for people to provide a valid COVID-19 certificate. That was removed, well, on Sunday night, but now they've actually removed even more. Let's go to that story. The Civil Aviation Authority has rescinded its travel restrictions, requiring foreign arrivals from countries which required PCR tests to have at least US $10,000 health insurance coverage for the duration of their stay in Thailand, plus 7 days. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. But again, it's going to take a few days to filter through the system. And even yesterday, I was getting plenty of emails of people saying, well, they still stopped me from getting on the plane, even though they've removed or cancelled the requirement to produce proof of vaccination. So I think this is going to be a similar situation where people are going to be saying, well, I don't need the health insurance, so why are you asking for it? So the confusion continues. And this, all in all, is just going to be really bad public relations for Thailand. Well, of course, we'll all forget in a couple of weeks, but I think in the short term, this has left a really bad taste in the mouths of a lot of people who were coming to Thailand at this time. Second paragraph there, the requirement for vaccination prior to arrival in Thailand has also been scrapped in response to complaints from a number of Thai tourism businesses who claim the measures imposed on January 7 will discourage many people from visiting Thailand, and this may hurt the tourism sector. I think that was pretty obvious from the huge amount of social media impact from the flip-flopping and the changes. And now another change. So it's 4 days in a row they've changed the rules, and it will take, as I said, a few days to filter down. Let's go to the actual current guidelines. Who knows how long this is going to stick. And it says passengers who do not have health insurance coverage will be allowed to board the plane, but Thai officials at health quarantine checkpoints will conduct random checks for health insurance coverage. Passengers who do not have any will be advised before entering the country how they can get coverage. Okay, so random checks. They may stop you when you arrive and say, do you have insurance? You say no. They're going to advise you on where you can get some COVID-19 insurance. Will that be enforced? We don't know. By the way, if you're traveling anywhere, always take out travel insurance. It's really cheap, and when you really need it, it can save you from quite a lot of heartache. Let's go to the next one. Passengers who hold Thai passports and passengers in transport will be exempt from health insurance checks. Passengers who develop COVID-19 symptoms during their travel will be advised to get screened for COVID infection upon arrival. And the last one there, airlines should advise their passengers to wear face masks at all time when they're on board, except when eating food or in an emergency situation. So if you are on the plane and they actually enforce the wearing of face masks, I suppose it's just best to have one in your pocket, and there's no reason to make a scene. It's obviously just going to be confusing at this time when I think staff are at the blunt end of this particular situation, when they're going to be told by their airline or by the local authorities what they should or shouldn't be doing, and that may or may not reflect the exact situation as of today. So good luck if you are traveling to Thailand at the moment. I share your stress. I know it must be a bit of a mess, and some people are falling between the cracks. Just on the bottom of that, it says the full set of revised measures can be checked at a website. This is on Thai PBS World. I actually tried to check that link, and the link doesn't work. So don't bother trying to find that link. At least they've listed the 4 latest rules there in the Thai PBS World story. You're watching TNT. Thank you very much to 5 Star Marine for their ongoing support. If you're down in Phuket on a perfect day like today, you might like to head out on a private boat tour to one of the beautiful islands, and 5 Star Marine would be a really good place to start. TNT on a Wednesday. Thank you for dropping in, and I'm heading back to Phuket today, doing the road trip and taking all the stuff in the back of my car back to my home in Phuket. Let's move to our next story now, and this is the ongoing saga of the lack of a cannabis bill, and it says that ID will soon be required to buy cannabis buds. This story from the Bangkok Post. Let's go to the specifics, and it says that Thai nationals seeking to purchase cannabis buds will soon have to show their ID cards with sales information recorded on a government database. This is according to the Department of Development of Thai Traditional and Alternative Medicines. And the department's Director General says he's signed the directive and it would take effect as soon as it's published in the Royal Gazette. And it's not known whether foreigners seeking to buy cannabis buds will have to show ID, such as a passport. So if you're asking my opinion, you're probably not. I think they probably will ask for foreigners' ID at some stage, but that hasn't been outlined at this stage, and I'm not exactly sure what sort of database that information will be collected in. But if they're asking it of Thais, I certainly anticipate that they'll be asking for ID proof from foreigners as well. Just more to that story. And it says the requirements, the latest in a series of ad hoc regulations issued to address questions that have arisen since cannabis was removed from the National Narcotics List in June last year. A law to regulate the sector is still before Parliament and might not be passed before the House is dissolved ahead of the election this year. So again, my tip is that they won't get that bill through, and that we've got an election probably on May the 7th, if everything sort of pans out the way people think. and the opposition parties who have shown a lot of opposition to this cannabis bill are likely to be the ones winning the election. And I don't know where that leaves this cannabis bill. I would have thought they're probably going to have to rip it up and start again. Anyway, that's the latest in the saga about cannabis. Looks like you're going to have to show some sort of ID, but at the moment, only Thais, not foreigners. And just finally on that, the story says that the main aim of cannabis decriminalisation, authorities have stressed, is to promote medicinal uses and create economic opportunities for people growing and processing the plant. But recreational use has exploded, which appears to have caught policymakers by surprise. And I think that's the point, that a lot of people, the parliamentarians in particular, have been caught a bit by surprise about the way that the decriminalisation filtered through and people interpreted it as some sort of support of recreational use of cannabis, which was never the intention. But that's the way that it's been interpreted. So there's a lot more to come on that particular story. Let's go to signs now, and particularly signs at railway stations. And this is the front of the brand new railway station hub in Bangkok. The State Rail Authority suspends the scandal-hit signboard project at Bangkok's Central Station. So last year, His Majesty the King renamed the station and gave it its new station. It was going to be called the Bang Sue Railway Station or something, but it's now got a new name. So they're going to have to change the words on the front of the station. And the budget that came through for that seemed to be a little bit high for some people. Let's go to this story. And the nation, Thailand, says that the State Railway of Thailand abruptly suspended the scandal-hit 33 million baht project to change signboards at the Bangkok Bang Sue Grand Station yesterday. Well, in fairness, I think that 33 million baht wasn't just for the sign. I think it was also to rename everything throughout the system, people's name cards and all the way down through the system and letterheads and stuff. But still, 33 million baht did seem like a lot. And the story says that the SRT governor signed the order to suspend the project, which includes changing the main signboard to Krung Thep Apiwat Central Terminal, the official name granted by His Majesty last year. And the order was addressed to the Managing Director of Unique Engineering and Construction, which won the contract bidding with a proposed budget of 33 million baht. The SET-listed company signed the contract back on December the 29th. Netizens quickly criticised the price as being too high, triggering widespread suspicion that SRT officials may have corruptly profited from the deal. Surely not. No way that could happen. And then 2 days later, the National Anti-Corruption Committee launched its own investigation focusing on the legality of the special urgent bidding process and the conduct of responsible officials. So 33 million baht to change a sign and probably a few other administrative costs. So I think a breakdown would be a really good start to show Thais exactly how that money was going to be spent. In the meantime, the old sign is probably going to be sitting there for a little bit longer. You're watching TNT, and we go to our next story, and this is from the nation Thailand again, and it's a breakdown of Thailand's latest population count. And have a guess what the latest population is. And 3, 2, 1, let's see. The current population of Thailand is 66 million, or just over, as of the end of last year, based on the Interior Ministry of Thailand. Thailand ranks number 22 in the world by population in the list of 235 countries. Measuring Thailand's population, I think, is very vexed. Given that it shares land borders with quite a few other countries, we know those land borders are fairly leaky, and there's a lot of illegal migration across those borders. On a day-to-day basis, the population of Thailand will be going up and down. Even in Bangkok, they're not exactly sure how many people live here. So these are, well, at best, good estimates. Thailand's population is projected to reach 70 million in 2030 and then decrease further to almost 66 million in 2050 and 46 million by the end of the century. So Thailand, like quite a lot of other countries, looking at a decreasing population, which of course puts a lot more load on the welfare systems because they have to look after people as they get older, and there's no youngsters replacing them. Ongoing problems in a lot of Asian countries. Let's check the population numbers there, and not surprisingly, Bangkok has got the highest population, 5.5 million. Well, that number of 5.5 million for Bangkok usually disguises the number of some 10 million that's often touted, which talks about Greater Bangkok, which is Bangkok and the provinces immediately around it, which are also really part of the main city in Thailand. What are some of the other locations there with a high population? Nakhon Ratchasima, which is also known as Korat, which is a big population centre about 3 hours to the northeast of Bangkok. And then Ubon Ratchathani, Khon Kaen. All these places are up in the northeast of Thailand, Isan as it's called. And Khon Kaen is becoming a really big population centre, quite a big city, and also a growing number of expats moving there as well. Moving to a story now from the pattayanews.com, and the Justice Minister compensates almost $1 million baht to the Mountain Bee Club Fire victims in Chonburi. So the 12 victims there obviously reasonably recovered from their injuries there, holding up the signs. Just felt a little bit uncomfortable seeing that, the way that it was handled with those numbers and things, but that's just the way they do things in Thailand. Handing out of money always ends up as a bit of a photo opportunity. The first instalment of compensation, totalling 2 million baht, was distributed to 19 victims on August the 19th, and the second instalment, worth nearly 2 million baht, was given to another 25 victims. And then finally, 57 people have been killed or injured in the Mountain Bee Club fire that happened in Chonburi Satahip district, and it says January the 10th, but as the article earlier said, it was in fact August the 5th last year. To our next story on TNT, and a casino project is shaping up. Feasibility study to be deliberated by the House. Not any time soon, I would have thought, with all the chaos going on there. But a casino in Thailand, it's been often discussed and debated. Thais do love gambling, there's no doubt about it, and you don't have to go far across the borders to Myanmar and also Cambodia, where they had that horrendous casino fire about a month ago, to understand that a casino in Thailand, it appears, is inevitable. Let's go to this story though and see how it's shaping up. And a report by a special House committee studying the feasibility of allowing an entertainment complex to be built that includes legal casinos is expected to be deliberated this week. And the entertainment complex will feature 5-star hotels, shopping malls, beauty and spa parlours, amusement parks, zoos, indoor and outdoor sports stadiums, and legal casinos. Funny the way they leave the word casino right to the very end there. Bangkok, together with areas inside the economic corridor and those within a 100-kilometre radius of Suvarnabhumi and Utapao airports, were reportedly named as the most suitable locations. I certainly think it's either going to be in Chonburi near Pattaya or it's going to be in Bangkok. I don't think there's much doubt about that. But the story goes on to say that any of 22 key tourism provinces were penned as the second best location. Includes places like Phuket, Phang Nga and Krabi in the south, Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai in the north. The House Committee also included in its report findings from a public opinion survey, and it said that 80.7% of respondents approved of the project and 36% agreed it should include legal casinos, and over 56% of respondents saw Bangkok and its neighbouring provinces inside the EEC as a prime location. So it won't happen tomorrow, but I think casinos will eventually happen in Thailand, for good or for bad. Obviously, the Chinese love coming to Thailand, and they also don't mind a gamble. And places like Cambodia have already caved into the demand to provide casinos, and it's destroyed some locations, certainly down in Sihanoukville, which used to be a very pretty little seaside resort, has now been completely ruined by the whole run of casinos along the foreshore there, and all the other businesses and corruption that stem from that. Anyway, it's probably coming to Thailand. How will it be handled? We hope it's going to be handled really well. That's about it from TNT for today. Hopefully you're up to date with some of the things happening in the country at this time, including the latest changes for arrival regulations. We'll certainly keep on keeping on and keep you up to date with any more changes, maybe even today. But from me, please subscribe to the channel. Please support 5 Star Marine if you're coming to Phuket, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.